go. All right, we're live.
Welcome, everybody, to the Real Pool Talks. This is Jason Sword, joined by
Fedor Gorst.
a man that does not need any introduction in the pool world. So, want to welcome everybody. Just starting our podcast here, very first episode, and really the purpose of starting this podcast is a lot of reasons. Want to talk about the news in pool, and keep Fedor's channel going. Obviously, a lot of the upcoming events, there's a lot of action matches that we want to discuss. We're going to talk a lot about Moscone Cup updates, your most recent results, and your schedule, your upcoming schedule. And the most important thing, Fedor, for you, since you've passed the J. Diddy Pool School of shit talking, we're going to do that a lot here on this show.
Alrighty.
And hopefully stir up some action.
I mean, it's going to be tough, but we're going to try. We're going to try hard.
Well, it may be tough to stir up some action for you, but I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of call-outs.
Well, let's hope.
So let's, the first agenda item tonight, let's talk about your most recent results at the Racks. You just got back from New York today.
I flew
finished
in.
fourth, right? You finished fourth. Carlo Beato won. So talk to us a little bit about your results there and a little bit about that tournament.
Yeah, I just flew in this morning from New York. The event was like an hour away from where we were staying in Manhattan, in the pool room called Racks. Nice pool room, AMF tables, which looked like Brunswick tables, played similar to Brunswick's Gold Crowns. The only thing that was a little bit weird about the table is the shape of the cut of the pocket. So every time you try to punch it through the rail and you touch the long rail a little bit, it always rattled and the pocket was like spitting the ball out. So you had to like slow roll and play with the right speed, which happens a lot on different tables too. I mean, it's a good tournament. Matt Vergara did a good job. There was like 90 players or 80 players who showed up. A ranking event. First place paid like 9,000 for the tournament and 7,500 for the Calcutta. The Calcutta was kind of stupid because I went for 3,000 as a first blind bet, and as soon as that happened, I'm like, there's not a lot of money in the room, and who's gonna be bidding all of the other guys? And then the second blind bid is like 1,000. I'm like, oh god, there this goes. And
Well,
then
I saw Jeff DeLuna went for a couple hundred, right?
Jeff DeLuna went for 200, and it was a little bit weird because DeLuna they went through the world ranking, so they went through the seeded players first, and DeLuna he doesn't play a lot of major events the last year, so he's unranked. So he was like in the very end of the list, and nobody even knew he'll be named. That's why he went for 200, I guess. But there's a lot of good players that went for like 400, 500, so it didn't really. It wasn't worth it for me to buy anything of that Calcutta.
Well, yeah, you went for 3,000. I think you had to get second place to break even, right?
It was close to that, yes.
Really tough field playing 9-ball. That's not a very good bet for Mr. Gorst. So, got fourth there. You got some money for the Moscone Cup, though. Ranking event, right?
3,300, yeah. I mean, every little helps. I mean, I was second in the Moscone race before that tournament, and the gap between me and David Alqueda was, I think, around 6,000 or 7,000. Now it's a little bit bigger. He had a decent tournament too. He finished just a round before me, so now the gap is a little bit bigger. But I mean, there's still some tournaments left before the next player will be announced.
Why don't we pull up those Moscone Cup rankings and take a peek at them here? Let's see what we got. So
Sure.
Obviously, there's two big events left to determine.
First of all, we should talk about that
Yeah.
logo.
We'll talk about it. That logo, you made it.
I made it with AI. I didn't know how to make it full size like a YouTube thumbnail, so it's 1,500 on 1,500. It looks cool, but I couldn't use it for like a YouTube thumbnail.
So I got to ask, which one is you and which one is me?
Well, you're the one interviewing me, so
Oh, okay.
you're the big-headed
The big
alien,
headed. All right.
and
I'll take it.
I'm the guy choking. I'm the alien choking with 25 fingers.
There you go.
Alrighty, so here's the recent rankings. They aren't updated after the last event, but we can kind of
We can kind of figure it out, right?
yeah. So
How much did you
Francisco,
gain? How much did you gain on Al-Kaidi?
um, I think I got 3,300 now, and David made like 16 or 1,700, something like that.
So you gained around $1,600
Right,
on him.
right. So
And-
Francisco is already an automatic pick. He was picked before, and Skyler. And the next player will be picked after U.S. Open, which is in 2 weeks, a little over a week. Oh, we have no stream. Okay.
No stream, but we have the audio.
The audio is working.
Sorry about that, guys. We'll get that fixed for you.
1 second.
But yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about what Fedor was mentioning there. So there are two more ranking events for the Moscone Cup: the U.S. Open. So whoever's in second place for the U.S. and second place for Team Europe will be chosen after the U.S. Open, and then after the Asian Open, the third highest player will be picked, and then there'll be 2 wild cards for each team. And right now, Fedor is sitting just above 50,000 in total earnings toward the Moscone Cup. And the next person is David Al-Kaidi at 42,000, followed by Mr. Kachi at 37.5, which is amazing because he actually was in a car accident, and he hasn't been playing much. But I saw he's kind of back at it. He was running out with one hand, no surprise there. And then obviously Mr. Filler with a little bit over 31,000. And that's all that's listed in the top 10 earnings. And then as far as Team USA goes, Skylar Woodward, of course, has already been named as the first pick. And second place for Team USA is Mr. SVB, Captain America. Obviously, I don't think he has to qualify if he wants to play. He's going to be on the team, but it helps out Mr. Jeremy Jones if he does qualify with points, allowing him to choose his final 2 players. And then Mr. Shane Wolford, young up-and-coming American, really great kid. Parents own a pool hall, and he's traveling around trying to make the team. And then Tyler Steyer, Mr. Opie, 13,500 earnings so far. And then rounding out the list for Team USA is Billy Thorpe. So yeah, so the camera died. Sorry, we apologize for that. But we'll talk a little bit about the prize pool at the U.S. Open. First place gets 50,000. So obviously, with the Moscone Cup ranking, is if somebody's not on the list that we talked about, and they win the U.S. Open, they're automatically going to be in the running. And runner-up gets 25,000. If you're a semifinalist, you'll earn 13, and if you're in the quarterfinals, you'll make 67.50. The last 16 gets 4,500. The last 32 gets 3,000. And if you make it to the last 64, it becomes a single elimination, and you get $1,750. So extremely top heavy. But definitely for the Americans and the Europeans out there, the winner is going to be in the hunt for getting chosen for the Moscone Cup. So definitely tune in there, and we're going to break down here in a minute once we get our camera fixed. We're going to break down some of the top matches in the first round of the U.S. Open. Many of you all don't know this, but Fedor not only is a great pool player, he's also a tech guru.
I'm not sure if it's working now, but hopefully.
Made a
Black
There you go. Fedor made a quick save there using his iPhone, so I guess the camera went dead on us, so apologize for that. Good thing it's episode 1. Some of the players that are have entered in, obviously FSR, who won it last year, SVB, who's won it 5 times, I believe, Mr. Filler, Jason Shaw obviously has won it, Mario He, Victor Zielinski, the Coe brothers, David Alcady, Max Lechner, Skylar Woodward.
Alrighty, guys. So
We're back.
We're back. Sorry for that. For some reason, camera decided to die on us. So
Something operated by a battery or what?
I mean, yes, but you're not supposed to like really stream from that camera. But that looks okay, I think. From
Yeah, and we'll get it worked out next time.
yes. Sorry, guys. So where are we at right now?
So just walk through some of the earning potential in the U.S. Open. Talked about a little bit about the Moscone Cup running. So obviously you're in second place right now.
Yeah.
And stretched your lead out a little bit out over Alcady. So how does that have you approaching the U.S. Open? Your mentality going in. What are you kind of thinking? And obviously your goal is to win, but what are you kind of thinking as far as the Moscone Cup goes?
I mean, there will be another tournament before Moscone Cup at Jason's pool room, which is kind of a little bit bigger than the average ranking event because it's a $500 entry and they're rating 20,000. It's a 64 player tournament, so the first place should pay in between 13 and 15,000 for first, I would say. And my audio is not good.
And they were saying in the chat that it was low, so
all right, guys, let's tune it in. There you go. No, it's not good. Turn it back down. Okay. How do you hear me?
sound great.
How do you hear, guys? I mean, okay, that's better. Perfect.
So let's get right into the U.S. Open. Let's talk about some of the matchups. We looked at it earlier. Some really good stuff. You want to pull the bracket up?
Yeah, and about that tournament in Jason's, what I was going to say is some of the European players, they can win that tournament. I'm not playing there.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm not sure if Filler's playing there, but Filler's in the run, Shaw is in the run, and Alcade is in the run. And, I mean, obviously, all the Europeans that can potentially win the U.S. Open, they will be either they will be qualified by points, or most likely they'll be picked by a wild card if they win, because that's like the last tournament, and for some reason they a lot of times they pick based off that tournament.
Off the U.S. Open.
Just one tournament, yes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you win the U.S. Open, that's a huge title.
I mean, it is, but like there is a lot of different big titles, like World Championships, which pays 50,000, and then we got a donation here.
Donation, Benji the Bobcat. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Benji. Wow, I didn't expect that. Well, thank you, Benji. And then what other big tournaments we have? All the European Open, all the major tournaments by Matchroom, they're all big. I mean, it's the same field.
Yeah, but this is kind of one of the last events, right?
Yeah, that's
which means you're in great form right before the Moscone Cup. Because when's the Moscone Cup this year? December.
So it's like almost 2.5 months before Moscone Cup. So it doesn't really. I mean, your shape. I will have at least 5 or 6 tournaments before Moscone Cup after U.S. Open. So I'm not sure why the prize money breakdown is like that. Because if it's a major event, and it's like it should be kind of like in tennis, you have 4 or 5 Grand Slams, like 4 or 5 major tournaments with the same prize money, then it's kind of makes sense.
They're all equal, right?
Yeah.
50,000 to first though.
50,000 for first. Yeah, it's big.
That's a big payout there. And if you look at the history, the winners over the last 5 years, obviously FSR won it last year. Beato won it in 2021.
That's when I finished 5th. Yeah.
They didn't have it in 2020, but in 2019, Filler won.
That's in Mandalay Bay.
And then the year before was Shaw when it was at the Waterside.
That's
That was
when.
when
That's
it was-
when
It was not
Pat
ran
Fleming.
by,
Pat Fleming was running it.
yeah, it wasn't ran by Matchroom. So, and then obviously SVB had a crazy run where I think he won it 4 out of 5 years, and Kevin Chang won it in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so SVB won it 4 out of 5 years, and then Shaw, Filler, Beato, and FSR. So really good company there. Whoever wins, just a really prestigious title.
It is. It is. I mean, it's one of the most prestigious titles, and the atmosphere at that event is probably the best if you compare it to all of the other Matchroom tournaments. But honestly, the last few major events that I've played by Matchroom, like the one in Fulda, Germany, was unbelievable. I played Filler. I mean, I lost. I dogged my brains out and lost the Filler. But there was at least 700 people watching that match in the stands, full stands, and everybody's clapping. I mean, it was great. It was just like a big thing.
How'd you do last year at the U.S. Open?
Last year, I lost somewhere early. I lost to Tyler Starr in last 64. That's where I lost.
I remember you were on the second TV table.
Yeah, the second
Yeah.
TV table. I think I qualified through the last 64 without losing a match, and then I lost to Tyler.
How do you like that format where it's double elimination all the way up to the final 64 and then it goes to single?
I think it's fine because, first of all, they make a longer race in the last 64. So in the earlier rounds, you're playing a race to 9, winner break from the box, 9 ball on the spot, and the tables are super tough. I mean, it's 4-inch on the corner and 4 1/4 in the side pockets. So I mean, and also it depends on the venue. Some venues, like Spanish tournament we had, the room was super hot inside and humid, and the tables were playing so sticky, and it was tougher to make anything down, like shooting down the rail. It would always wobble, so you had to slow roll the ball. There was a lot more safeties. And the one in Germany, the room was a lot more colder, and the air conditioning was working great, so everything was sliding, and the pockets were playing bigger. So it also reflects on the break. So it's a lot easier to make more balls on the break when the table is playing slick and not sticky, because when it's sticky, you're kind of, I mean, I find it for myself, like you have a better chance. You have it's tougher to make the wing ball first, and then I find for myself that I have to put more outside spin to make the one ball sometimes.
If it's sticky?
If it's sticky. But I mean, that was just one time in Spain. I finished 5th there, and I finished 5th in Germany. So both tournaments I've had a pretty decent run, and I played a lot of matches, so I can compare both of them.
Yeah, it's obviously a tough tournament and a stacked field. People come from around the world. All the best players are showing up. Let's maybe dive into some matches. You want to do that?
Yeah, sure. And I mean, the tournament before where I go, before U.S. Open, I go to Michigan. It will be a tournament in Battle Creek, the Predator Series, Races to 4. I believe no, it's not their last event of the year. They'll have another one in Puerto Rico. But let's go to the break, and then we'll come back to that Michigan tournament.
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that. You've been kind of the king of Predator. You won the first 2, right?
I won 3 already, but I won the very first one in Arizona, and I don't remember if I won 2 consecutive ones. But
Did you win in Battle Creek last year?
No, I won 2 of them. I won in Arizona, and 1 I won in Ohio, so it wasn't consecutive.
Okay. Somehow a race to 4 with all the drama. I know you don't really necessarily love the race to 4, right?
No, I mean I don't like the format, but I mean the prize money are good, and I don't know. I just like the pressure. It's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I kind of think the race to 4 is good for you because I was speaking on your stream the other night when you were playing Moritz when he missed the 7 ball. I said that's the Fedor effect. SVB's been getting it for years where people just kind of dog it to you. But a race to 4,
Well, unfortunately, Moritz didn't dog it all the way. So
well, he dogged it. You just scratched on the hill.
yeah,
On
yeah,
the break.
that was a good match. I mean,
It
that
was a good match.
that was
Both you guys broke well, but
Yeah.
I call it the Fedor effect, and I think in a race to 4, it really comes out the Fedor effect. I think that a lot of people were dogging it to you in those tournaments because of the intense pressure, race to 4, and they knew they were going to get to a shootout with you, and that's really tough. So, and the break format is very tough.
Yeah.
10 ball breaking outside the box.
Well, everybody is breaking from the side rail in predator events because it's a ref rack with the predator triangle, and they're not tapping any balls, so there's a lot of gaps in the rack, and you can't just break from I mean you can break from the center of the table, but then if you don't make a ball, most of the time you're gonna sell out because it's so unpredictable where the second row balls are going, and all the four railers. Whenever they start tapping the rack, then players are going more towards breaking from the center. But other than that, they're going to break from the side rail and play a lot of safeties.
there's nothing better than getting shit racked playing 10 ball, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I've played a lot of this already, and I mean, I enjoy moving a little bit, and it's a lot more strategy than just running out. You know.
Yeah, it may not be great for the viewers, but for the the avid pool fans, I really like the format. Tough break with 10 balls out there. You get to see a lot of safety exchanges, a lot of kicking, a lot of jump shots, a lot of
yeah.
push outs.
Yeah.
So I prefer 10 ball, but obviously I know 9 ball is what is kind of being deemed for the viewers now. What's your thoughts on that? Just overall preference as far as playability. Let's talk about playability. What do you prefer, 9 ball or 10 ball? And then what do you think is better for the viewers?
Well, for the viewers, 9 ball is better with the format that we have with Metrum right now because it's perfect. It's winner break. It's tough enough break format to where you don't have to make a ball on a break, so you have to hit it really good to make the one on the side. And I mean, the pro players are starting to figure it out, so there is a lot more players running packages now, and that's what the average viewer, I guess, wants to see is a lot of break and runs, a lot of 9 balls on the break because the cue ball is traveling towards the 9 a lot of times, and sometimes there is a lot of safeties involved too because you're not guaranteed to have an open layout after the break. For example, the cue ball kisses with the 9, and there's a lot of times when the ball's tied up.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how 9 ball has kind of evolved because if you remember, I think it was the International Open that kind of went to the 9 on the spot with the 3-point rule, and then we saw the 2 ball go to the back, and Skylar Woodward really picked up on the break and had the control of the 2 ball coming around in the side. I think he beat Cheng Jung Lin, and I mean he was just destroying everybody.
It was Skylar and Max Lechner, the first two who figured out that break where they brought the 2 ball 3 rails to the side pocket.
And
then Skylar won, I think. Skylar won on one International Open, and Max Lechner finished second.
I think Shaw won that year.
Shaw beat Max in the finals.
Yeah, Shaw won it, but nonetheless, so now it's not the 2 ball in the back, right? It's just random rack.
It's all random.
Referee rack, not on the spot.
You're not allowed to check the racks, so
No
if you're
3-point
shit racked,
rule.
no 3-point rule, which I think will be changed at some point because what they have right now is they ask the players to use the forceful break, but there is no definition. And in the beginning of the tournament, they have, I don't know, let's say 8 referees ranking on 32 tables. So one referee.
You know how to fix that, right? You got to grease the referee up before the match. Go slide him 100 and say, I'm not going to hit it forcefully.
No, but I was saying is,
oh, come on.
it comes to a referee to judge whether it's a forceful break or not, but he's ranking on 4 different tables. For example, I'm playing Jeff DeLuna first round, he decides to soft break on me.
Oh, Jeff Delune's never cheated in your life. What do
No,
you mean? Come
no,
on,
but I
you
mean,
know that.
I'm just using an example,
Mhm.
and there is no really a way. I mean, I can be a bad guy, like I can create a bad image for me and say like this player is breaking soft, in my opinion, like comparing to me or to my understanding of what's a forceful break is. But he can make one ball and one ball can be passing the head string, and I don't know. I mean, it just creates a lot of arguing, uh,
Yeah, you
creating that rule. I mean, some players. I mean, I know for a fact that some players are taking advantage of it and breaking softer than they would in the in like a single elimination stage where the refs are paying more attention to it. So I think at some point they will have to go to a 3-point rule. I know that there will be breaks where you're gonna make both balls and still not gonna.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the 3-point rule, but I also don't like the soft breaks. So, do you think the 3-point rule is the answer?
I think the 3-point rule is the answer, and they're saying that it's tough to explain to a viewer, to somebody that doesn't know pool. I don't think it's that tough to explain. I mean, you can create all this graphic things that you put on the stream, and I mean, that's what the International Open did.
Yeah,
Pat
I
Fleming
agree.
did it for years.
It's not really that tough to explain. But there's still a little bit of arguing going on with the 3-point rule, right? Like, is the ball in? Did it go in? Did it come out? If you're on
Right,
the, if
right,
you're on
right.
the corner table and
That's
it's
what
not
happened.
being streamed,
That's
right?
what happened to me in Philippines. I mean, they played with 3-point rule. I made both balls, and almost half of the ball was in the kitchen. So in Europe, we play where if the edge of the ball is touching the line, not even breaking, that counts as a ball in. In US, sometimes, I mean, a long time ago, it used to be base of the ball. But in Philippines, they play the the half of the ball has to be in the kitchen.
Well, in the Philippines, it just mattered if you were the first one to
Well,
do it or not,
that's
right?
that's what I was thinking too. Like, I never heard of that rule that half of the ball should be in the
Yeah, it's
kitchen.
either touching the base or all the ball, right?
Yeah, 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 and that's the same thing with the cue ball. Like, you will, I never heard of the rule that the whole ball, like every edge of the cue ball, shouldn't be touching
Yeah.
the head string or the line of the box. So I have to go like half a ball inside from my normal breaking spot. That's how I played in the Philippines. I mean, in the funny thing is, there used to be all the Metrum events. They used to have little different rules. Like Philippines, you have this breaking rules and it's alternate break. Then I went to Turning Stone. It was different rules too. It was wreck each other,
Yeah.
one on the spot. But I think they're going to change it soon.
To where they're all standard.
It has to be the same format, same rules.
Well, they're going to lose the Turning Stone then. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's no way that
There is no way that Mike Zucklin is going to change it. No.
he's not going to change the rules of his event. No chance.
No, I don't think he's going to change it. No, but Philippines, I think they will.
Yeah, I agree.
Because sharks are doing big things, and I think it's
Yeah,
smart for them to follow what
You
makes
spent a lot of time over there. You would know.
Yeah.
So let's get into the first few matches here. Obviously, you were talking a little bit earlier. It's advantageous to be ranked, right? To be in the rankings, and that's through earnings. So FSR coming off of the victory from last year and being the number one earner right now on the 9-ball tour, gets the number one seed, right?
Yeah, he's a number one seed, and he's playing John Weber, first round on Monday. I'm not sure who John is, but he's unranked American. So pretty good draw for Francisco. For the first two rounds, Michael Yednek is playing Max Vattenby. That's who's going to be facing in round two. Michael Yednek is from New York, actually, area.
Yeah.
And
You
then
just played him at the.
I just put him in Turning Stone, yes.
Yeah. I think you waxed him, right? He didn't win one game, right?
I beat him 9-0, yeah.
9-0. Oh yeah.
And then the winner qualification match will be, in my opinion, will be against Emil Gangflot from Norway. He's playing Yanni Sikin in first round, which is a tough player from Finland.
And
I think it's going to be a close match between him and Emil. but he's gonna win because I watched him play recently, and I just played him 2 days ago in that tournament in New York. He had a good run.
He
He
had
beat
you down.
DeLuna.
He had you down 7-3, right?
Yes, yes, yes. He was up 7-3, and I ended up winning 9-7. But overall, he's improving quick. He's a junior. We used to play juniors, all the European championships together, and I just see him improve at least 2-3 balls. So I think he'll be playing with Francisco for the winner qualification, and Francisco will be the winner there.
But overall, really nice draw for Francisco. We're both predicting that he gets out of that
Yeah.
flight there.
Let's go to another flight.
And this is an interesting one here. You got Ralph Sakay playing Paul Song, and then right below it is Earl Strickland. If they both win, we got the battle of the old farts. And they could not be different, more different. Look, Ralph Sakay is calm, reserved, goes about his business, very workmanlike, never says a word,
It's
right?
a battle of legends. Yeah, I mean,
Battle
Ralph.
of legends. I said old farts, you said legends. And then playing Earl Strickland. I mean, I'm sure Earl was talking to him the whole time, and Ralph doesn't even respond, just sits down. It'll be interesting.
I'm sure they played a lot of matches together throughout their careers, and
That'll be on the stream.
that should be on the stream and will be, I'm sure. So I hope both of them win their first rounds, and we're gonna sweat that match. I think it's a pick. I mean, Earl, if he's playing, I think after the break he's better than Ralph, but Ralph should be breaking better than Earl because he's playing more of the ranking events and more used to that 9-ball break than Earl. But I mean, you never know. With Earl, he may wake up and play perfect, or may talk to himself and quit in the middle of the match.
He may not have all his weights dialed in on his arms, might not have all the duct tape on his fingers. I'm going with Ralph Sakay there.
I'm going with Ralph too, and then we have a strong junior, Cashton Keaton, playing Woo Kun Lin. That's a very tough draw for both of them
Yeah.
in the first round.
A race to 9 against Cass Keaton. He can beat anybody. I mean, obviously he's a huge underdog.
He beat me before in a race to 9 in Texas, playing 9-ball. I mean, with different breaking format, but still, he's a dangerous player.
He can run out.
He can run out for sure.
I'm still picking Woon Kun Lin to come out of that flight. I'm a big fan of his. I think he's underrated.
Very underrated, yeah. I mean, he won the tournament in Vegas 2 years ago. That's probably his biggest win in 9-ball. I'm not sure if he's playing Chinese 8-ball or anything like that. But I used to go to Qatar for the World 9-ball. That's where they held it all the time before Matchroom took it over. And Woo Kun Lin used to always come and finish third, like every year. Every year he would come and beat everybody and finish third. Like he was unbelievable player, but he's kind of losing always in semis, quarters. He's always going deep, but doesn't win tournaments.
And he's a gambler too, right?
All of them are playing the Taiwanese Carom. That's a big game in Taiwan, and I'm sure he's gambling a little bit, playing pool. I'm not sure how big, but I've seen streams where he plays Taiwanese Carom.
So he gambles a little bit, so he should be a little better at handling the pressure. I wouldn't be surprised to see Woo Kun Lin win the U.S. Open. I mean, obviously it's an extremely tough field, but
I would be surprised if he wins, but he's definitely capable of doing it.
yeah, he's a great player. Slide down to the next flight. What do you got there? Let's see. You got Conrad at the top.
Conrad is a seeded player here, and
Roland.
at the bottom of the flight we have Roland Garcia. Yeah, Masato Yoshioka is actually going to be playing Roland Garcia in the second round if both of them are winning their first round matches. Masato finished third in the World 10-ball not too long ago, maybe 3 years ago, right before pandemic.
He always plays in the World Cup of pool, right?
Yeah, he's the partner of Oi.
Oi.
That's him.
Yeah, he's a great player. Roland Garcia, man, I tell you what, he's very underrated Filipino. He plays all games well.
Everything. He plays everything well. He just won the tournament yesterday, actually, in Michigan, the bar table tournament. I don't know, Michigan Falls Classic or something like that. Not too far from Battle Creek, where we'll have the tournament.
I will say this, though. I've seen Roland get pretty weak. I've seen him dog it in a lot of spots. I think it has a lot to do with his body movement. If you watch Roland on the stream, pay attention. He jumps up really bad, and he spins the ball a lot. So under extreme pressure, those are two things that you don't want to do, right? Jump up and be spinning the ball a lot.
Yeah, I mean he does make a lot of moving while he's playing, but I think he has so much experience already to where, I mean, his game is based off feeling, just
Right.
feel. It's most of the Filipinos, maybe 99%, their game is based on feel, and he is the perfect example of it. Same as Raga, you watch the same. Anton is moving around the table. He's always doing all this. He's doing all the body English, and whenever he's drawing and he's feeling the heat, he's always jumping up and twisting his wrist. Like in in my understanding, it's I don't know how they're making the ball, but they
Naoki Oi does the same, right?
Naoki Oi does the same. Exactly right. Yes, I mean, they did it so many times already that on their feeling level, it's already fixed, I guess.
And that's basically what all of your training is about, right? Is being able to perform under pressure.
The same as I do in the practice.
Right. So when your brain is going crazy in those pressure situations,
I know what to rely on. Yeah.
you know what to rely on, which is your fundamentals, staying down on the ball and repeating what you've done a million times. And it's nothing about feel, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a
your
lot
game.
more to that, but yeah,
and,
yeah,
You know, in the most simple terms.
yeah. In the most simple terms, yes.
You don't want it to be about feel. You train so it's not about feel.
Well, it depends. It depends. If you are an unbelievable artist, you want it to be all based on feel, because whenever is those players that are when their game is based on feel, they play their best game. It's almost impossible to beat them. Like their A plus game will be higher than my A plus game. I would say it like this.
Yeah,
But it won't be as consistent.
right. So you're all about the consistency, but I've seen your A plus game and I've seen Roland's, and I think you're okay.
So who are we picking in this flight? Conrad or Roland?
I mean,
It's a pick, I think.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a fan of both players. I like watching them both play. I kind of shit on Roland a little bit there, but I'm gonna pick Roland. I'm gonna pick Roland.
I'm
coming
gonna
out of
pick
that flight.
Conrad here.
You got to go with the European. I know what you're gonna do.
Yes, sir.
Roland's my dude. I'm gonna root for him.
So, all right, next flight. Roby Capito is a seated player. Right below that, we have Abdullah Al-Katan and Nguyen Antoine. I'm not familiar with both players, but I mean, they're both traveling for over 12 hours to just come to this tournament, so I'm sure they know how to run out.
Yeah.
And then
And
we have
I'm glad you're pronouncing these names, 'cause at least you can say English isn't your primary language, and that's why you can't pronounce them. I don't have any excuse. But
right.
Robbie Capito. I mean, I'm taking the Polak down there. I'm taking
Yeah,
Wojciech.
Wojciech Shevchik is a good player. He just finished third in the China Open, the tournament that Filler won against Anton Raga in the finals.
I mean, outside of the Philippines, Poland might be the deepest country as far as good pool players. There's like 10 of them that are just unbelievable, and they're all right within
Yeah,
the
and
same range.
it was always like this. Like when we played juniors, I mean, there was so many of them that stopped playing too, like Kudlik brothers. I used to always play with Delinsky, which is he's still here playing. But there was a lot of Polish players that just won and went deep everywhere they played.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing right now. One of my favorite Polish players, one of the most exciting kids to watch play is Victor Zielinski. Just an unbelievable talent. Honestly, and for my money, he might be the most talented player to play pool. Just natural ability, talent.
He has a lot of that. Yes,
It's unbelievable.
yes. He doesn't miss many balls, and he looks flawless. Yes. So who are you taking this here, Roby or Wojciech?
I'm going to take the Polak.
Wojciech it is. I agree.
All right.
All right, next flight. We have Kwaping Chung. He has a birthday today, actually.
Oh, happy birthday, Chung.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday. And right below that, American Derby, Corey Doyle and Eric Roberts. Actually, that's a tough flight here.
Yeah, this is pretty stacked here. And
We
then
got Koping Chung, Corey Deuel, Eric Roberts, Donnie Mills is right here.
Donnie Mills.
Wow.
If it was rack your own, he might be a favorite here. The rack mechanic himself. I'll tell you what, if you're playing Donnie Mills, make sure your wife or your girlfriend stays at home because he works out. And that is one good looking dude. Lives on the beach, has a nice tan. He's
And a
tall.
boat.
He's got a boat, sells cars. Hide your girls.
And Omar Al Shaheen is here too. We haven't seen him pretty much this year. I mean, he played the tournament in Germany. But other than that, I believe he didn't play in any other events.
Oh, and Omar, what an exciting player. All offense. If he sees a bank, he's going to fire at it, and he's not going to roll it. He's not going to roll anything in. He's firing at balls.
Yeah, he likes firing it in, firing it in,
And a good character too. Just
yeah, very good guy,
personality,
very
right?
good guy, and sometimes he's in a mood and he just one strokes everything, just like Mark Bijsterbosch, the same
Exciting players. Yeah.
same style, yeah.
I mean, obviously here, you'd have to be a fool not to take the birthday boy, Kopin Chung.
I mean, yeah, actually, it might be the average pool player, the Lawrence Thomason, but I may be wrong. I may be wrong.
I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Kopin Chung, one of the elite players in the game today.
For sure, for sure. I mean, Koping Chung is going to win the first round, and I think Corey Deuel is going to beat Eric just because he has a lot of more experience, even if he's in break.
Soft break if he gets down.
Well, yeah, that's the first round. He may soft break there. So Corey and Ko second round. It's a tough second round there, but I'd have to take Ko there. And in the lower side of that flight, I'll take Donny in the first round against the German player, and Omar against the American, and I'll probably have to go for a surprise and pick Donny over Omar.
You're taking Donnie.
Yeah,
I always knew you had a crush on him. You got a man crush on
He's
Donnie.
practicing a lot, and he's trying to figure out the break always, and that's like 65% of the success in 9-ball.
Yeah, he does break 9-ball well, but I'm taking Omar there, and I'm
Yeah.
taking Chung out of the flight.
Yes, I'm taking the Chang out of the flight too.
Oh, the next one here, another interesting flight.
Yeah, a lot of good players here too. Carlo Biata that just won the ranking event in New York is playing against Abdullah Al-Shamari, actually a good player from Saudi Arabia. I played him a couple of times. He can be dangerous here.
It's a tough draw for Carlo then if he's got a player that's capable.
Yeah, he's capable for sure. And right below that, the third co-brother, Peng Han, is playing Nathan Wallace that just finished second in that tournament that Roland won in Michigan.
And that's the youngest brother, right? The youngest co-brother?
That's the youngest brother, yeah.
He's a dart player, right?
He used to be a dart player. That's what I've seen on Facebook. And
I think last year at the U.S. Open, your better half, Christina, beat
yeah,
her brother, right?
yes, she beat him at the
Copenhagen.
U.S. Open, yes.
Yeah, I remember that match. She was pumped.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I don't blame her.
And then we have the Vietnamese Dang Tang Kien playing against Tyler Henninger. I'm not familiar with both players, so I'm not sure here. But I know Dennis Grape here, and I'm taking him in the first round and in the second round too. So my prediction will be Carlo versus Dennis playing in the winter qualification, and I'm taking Carlo there.
Yeah, you got to take Carlo. Such a great player. Coming off a win as well. This next flight, I love this next flight.
Yeah, this flight is one of the toughest, I'd say. We have Sanjin, Pehlivanovic, a strong junior player. We used to always play in juniors together. Vitali, my friend, that started playing in U.S. more the last year. It's playing against Vietnamese that I never heard of before, or maybe I did, but I'm just not familiar with names.
Yeah.
And then I know that Vietnamese Luong Doc Tien. He's one of the top Vietnamese players, maybe a second top. Maybe he may be the same level as Duong Quoc Huang, because
Really?
he just finished fifth at the China Open, I think, beat good players.
You get fifth at the China Open, you got to play.
Yeah, for sure. He's playing against a Japanese player,
Kamada.
which could be a good player too. I mean, traveling from Japan to participate in U.S. Open, you gotta be good. And then Tyler Starr playing Frankie Hernandez. That's a tough round one too.
Yeah, I mean, these are some tough matchups here, and honestly, I think is probably the toughest flight to predict.
Yeah, it's tough to predict. I mean, Sanjin, Vitaly, Tyler, they're all kind of on the same level. It's very, very close. And Long Duc Tien, same thing. I think they're all very close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm taking the driver. I'm taking Pat Sura.
I mean, he's very, very pumped. He's practicing a lot right now. He's actually hitting balls downstairs right now.
He's hitting balls downstairs right now, and I'm telling you right now, he has the best hair on the tour.
That's for sure. If that's what the contest is, we're picking whose hair looks better, he's going to win for sure.
Picking Vitaly Patsura. I know he's not the favorite to come out of this flight. He's just my dude, so I'm picking him.
He's not the favorite. I mean, the favorite probably Tyler or Long Duc Tien, probably. But I won't be surprised if Sanjin or Vitaly goes through. I mean, I won't be surprised at all.
I think any of those four could win that fight.
For sure, whoever breaks better.
I knew for a fact you were not going to pick Sanjin.
Why?
I just know you're not a huge Sanjin fan. Oh, look at this next flight. I don't know what we're going to do here.
Badr Alavadi, seeded player. Oh, me. That's my flight. There you go.
Let's talk about your draw here. Sam Henderson. You said he's a decent player, right?
Yeah, good junior player. He actually finished 5th at one of the Predator tournaments in either Ohio or Wisconsin. I don't remember.
And he's from East Moline, right?
I think he's from that area because I saw a lot of posts on Facebook already saying so the little background of that story. I went to Joe Rogan podcast last year, and then I was nervous and was talking about my road stories and how my year looked like in the U.S. And I was talking the story about my tournament in East Moline, which I wasn't super happy about, but I mean, I should never have said what I said, but whatever. I said it. Nothing too crazy, but I offended some people and I apologized. But some of them are still offended, so I'm sure, I mean, it's normal. They're all making posts saying, let's go keto, and stuff like that. And, I mean, I'm looking forward. It should be a good match. And
so long story short, you're not going back to East Moline.
I don't think I will be very welcome there.
You're not going to be welcome to East Moline, and they're all pulling for Sam Henderson. Good luck to you, Sam. You're going to need it. Look, you got Nick DeLeon there. And
Nick DeLeon and Badr Alavadi. Badr had a few strong finishes last year. I haven't seen him much this year. Maybe he wasn't traveling as much, or maybe he has something else. I'm not sure, but he's capable of playing a good pool, and I'm picking myself playing against Badr in the winter qualification. Hopefully, I win there.
Yeah, and I got to give a shout out to Payne McBride there, a junior from the Ohio area.
Actually, I'm familiar with that name, James Davey, too, because I played against him a couple of times at Derby.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure because I've seen that name popped up in front of my name at Derby multiple times, and I just remembered it right now.
So we're both picking you to come out of your flight. We're a couple homers, but that's all right. I'm sure all the fans out there.
Here's Collins in the chat. He said he's offended. Well, I'm sorry, Collins. I mean.
And while we're going through this, let us know who you have in each of these flights.
Well, the thing is, I'm Russian. The Russian jokes they're too straight. Like in U.S., you have to be careful. You have to be like, oh.
Well, I'm not really careful, but yes, I agree. The U.S. is soft, is what you're trying to say.
No.
And I agree with you.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's the reason why this is going to be real pool talks, and we're not going to be soft here. We're going to be keeping it 100% Russian on this channel. And we're just going to say what we think. And if you're offended, don't hit the subscribe button. Or do, and come back and get offended again.
Okay, so the next flight, we have Albin as a seeded player and BJ Ussery in the bottom. Who are the other players that I know? Joao Grillo, the player from Portugal, used to be playing a lot more on the European scene and was a decent player back when I was 15, 16, but I haven't seen him probably in the last 3 years. So I'm not sure how he's playing right now. BJ is traveling to all the ranking events and trying his best to qualify, and I think he's got a shot because I mean the U.S. Open will be huge for every American. You go to the
like it whenever BJ, you watch him play.
You look, yeah, he looks like you.
Yeah, he be wearing these. He wears these big headphones when he plays.
Yep.
But BJ can play. I mean,
BJ beat me. BJ beat me in that tournament in D.C. He was breaking really good, and he just finished deep again. I mean, deep enough in Rex. I think he cashed and beat some good players there. He actually beat Zielinski, and I'm not sure who else did he beat, but he was playing good. I mean, he can break with that breaking format.
I'm taking Albin.
Albin is out of that.
All
flight.
chalk for me. Sorry, guys.
So the next flight is Mika, Chris Reinhold, Yuma Derner, Torsten Holman, and Pancake.
Oh, Sean Santoro, a.k.a. Pancake, taking on the Hitman.
Yeah. Well, what's the line on that match? What's the through line?
Gosh. I mean,
like, let's not offend anybody. Like, if
what's the real line?
Yeah, like the real line.
You can't even set a money line.
No, the money line is minus 20,000.
Right. I mean, I think it is does Pancake 2. If he gets the 2, he wins.
I mean, that's actually a good line because it's a 4-inch pockets.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure.
We know Pancake doesn't know anything about 4-inch.
Pancake is playing.
Sorry, Pancake.
Torsten, which is a great player.
I don't think he'll get to 2.
2 or 3 would be the line for sure.
I'll take under 2.
There you go, another donation from Robert McCurdy.
Oh, thank you, Robert. So yeah, I mean, obviously there you got Mika and Chris Reinhold at the top.
Mika and Chris, second round matchup if they win their first rounds.
I'm pulling for my boy Chris.
Chris hasn't been playing a lot in tournaments lately.
Well, he's about to match up with Oscar. He better get in the grease. I'm sure he'll be practiced up for
I'm sure he's practicing for that tournament because, like I said, it's big for all the Americans. Chris may not show any results in any ranking events this year, but he can go deep in the U.S. Open, and there you go, he'll be picked.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Chris. Just overall quality individual, great guy to be around. He likes taking pictures of pretty women. Nothing wrong with that, Chris. But out of this flight, I can't root for Mika. I think Mika's playing great right now. I watched him play you.
Mika is actually
the last few months.
in his best shape that I've seen him in the last 3 years.
He's just such a weak mental person. If a fly lands on the ball, he might just not make another ball for the rest of the week. And if somebody does anything,
that could happen.
Well, the other thing is, like, listen, real pool talk, no bullshit. He will shark you, and then he'll accuse you of sharking him. He's impossible to root for.
Well, he's an old school player. A lot of old school players are like that. There are some that are like clean looking professionals, like Torsten and Ralph Suke. You'll never see him doing any of that.
No moves like that,
But there were a lot of players back in the day. It was a normal thing, I guess.
Yeah, the Johnny Archers and the Mika Eminens of the world. Listen, Mika's playing great right now. I just can't root for him. I'm rooting for Chris there. But in this flight, I'm taking Torsten.
In this flight, well, actually, let's talk about the bottom half because Yuma Derner is a junior German player that Americans I mean, I'm sure you're not familiar with him,
No.
but I am. I mean, he he just came out of juniors, I believe, and I played him in Germany in knockout stage. He's capable of playing good pool. All the German juniors that did good at junior European championships and world championships, they all become decent players. Like Moritz.
Yeah, Moritz.
Moritz. I mean, nobody heard of him 2 3 years ago. Now he's a real deal.
Shit, 2 or 3 years ago, he was still in junior high. He's only 19, right?
Yeah, he was 16 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But he was already successful on the European scene in juniors. That's why I just know how it goes with all the juniors coming from Germany, Poland, Netherlands. It's all going through the same scenario.
Same training. You know, they're going to be well prepared for this event.
But I'm
So are
taking
you taking Yuma?
no, I'm taking Torsten out of that fight.
But that'll be an interesting match to watch, a junior versus a veteran, if they both get there.
Yes, both Germans, and then if Torsten and Mika win, for example, the winner qualification between him and Mika would be, I mean, it would be a classic match. I mean, old school, both coming from New York, but I mean, living in New York, but both coming from outside of the United States.
Yeah,
it's kind of
almost
cool.
almost second to Suke versus Strickland.
Yes.
Similar kind of style, similar eras.
All right, the next flight we have Mieszko, Fortunsky, and Imran Majid. That's the only two players that I.
And you can't root for Imran. I mean, you got to take the butcher, right?
Imran,
Fortunsky.
actually, Imran was playing really good this year.
Oh, Pancake's in the chat. Look, he says Torsten won't get past me. Pancake, we're gonna bet that you don't get to 2.
When Pancake, the line is already set, so hit us up.
Hit us up. You know where to bet, Mr. Pancake.
Well, Mieszko and Imran would be most likely the winner qualification match where I mean, you got to like Mieszko in that matchup, but I'm going for a surprise, a little upset from Imran. I mean, you can't really call it an upset because Imran was playing so good and he is breaking good.
Oh, Imran can play.
He's one of these players that break soft enough to where you think it's a soft break, but you can't call it a soft break.
right. Like the perfect speed.
Like that would be the perfect speed for that rule.
Right. This next flight has some good players as well.
Bezar Spahiu from Albania,
And that's Kachi's partner in the World Cup of Pool.
Kachi's partner. They beat me and
He
Ruslan
played well.
in Leicester like 4 or 5 years ago.
And then Sullivan Clark.
Sullivan Clark is he improved a lot the last 2 years, I think.
Well, I believe it was 3 years ago. He came to the Derby City Classic, and he was this kind of little nerdy pool guy that was just wanting to kind of soak it all up. And he wasn't a great player. And then you played him at a Predator event. And I'm like,
Last
damn.
year.
I was like, damn, this guy got way better. So Sullivan Clark's a name that you don't want to blink on. He could come out of this flight. I know Copenhagen's down there. Obviously, Copenhagen's the favorite to come out of there. But the dark horse here would be Sullivan Clark.
Well, yeah, Sullivan Clark will be the dark horse for sure, and I won't be surprised if that will be the winner qualification match between him and Copenhagen.
I agree. I think it's going to be Sullivan versus Copenhagen, and Copenhagen for the win.
Yep.
And I've got to pick all the Taiwanese because my wife is Taiwanese, and if I don't, I'll be sleeping on the couch tonight.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna pick all the Russians. I think there's one in the tournament, and I'm gonna pick all the Taiwanese.
All right, next flight we have Skylar Woodward, first American that was picked for the Moscone Cup team.
The Bluegrass Badass.
Then we have Dimitrios Gelatis, Georgi Georgiev, the player from Bulgaria, a very strong player, and Alex Pegulayan. So I'm gonna go with Skylar playing and beating Charles and Dimitrios Gelatis in the second round, and I'll go with Alex Pegulayan winning the first round and then losing the second round to Georgi. And Georgi will be playing against Skylar, and I'm taking Skylar in that match.
You're taking,
But I think
Georgi over Pegulayan.
yeah, I'm going for the upset there. But I predict that Georgiev wins the second match, and the match with Skylar will be a really close one. Like it's like 9
So
7 9.
this Georgi can play.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a known second tier European player.
I'm taking Skylar out of there. I just got to do it, but I think Pagulion's going to get there.
Depends how he breaks. If Alex is breaking good, then I'm taking Alex.
Well, if Alex is breaking good, he might win the whole tournament.
Exactly.
Never misses a ball.
Next slide, we have Billy Thorpe, Carl Gnadeberg, Sharik Said, and Naoki Oi.
This is another one that's pretty wide open.
Yeah, I mean, you got to favor Naoki in that flight.
Yeah.
But Carl, I believe he won the World Junior Championships last year, under 17 division. Sharik,
Who's the Spanish?
I'm not sure. Manuel Montejo Fernandez. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with the name. So I predict that Carl should be the favorite in that match. But him and Billy, that's kind of like a pick. And probably Billy is going to end up winning that match. And in the bottom side of that flight, we have Naoki and Sharik. Sharik is the partner of Aloysius for the World Cup.
Yeah, and
So
he went to Lindenwood and trained under Mark Wilson. So
That too. And
Shark can play.
yeah, Sharik can play. Has good fundamentals. And Naoki, who is completely opposite. Field player, very fearless, has a high gear, and when it's on, he's tough to beat.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago that Naoki beat you at the U.S. Open, right?
Quarterfinals, yeah, it was a close match, but I ended up losing, and he ended up losing to Carlo in the semis.
Yeah, and I remember you got shit racked at the
In a very important moment,
in
yeah.
a very important moment. You couldn't make a ball, and it was almost like the balls didn't even.
But
move.
that was a different.
He was making the wing ball.
That was a
every time,
different breaking format because
Yeah.
it was one on the spot,
and you couldn't make a ball.
and
he
it was wood rack. Now it's magic rack and not on the spot. So it's a lot better now than it used to be.
Yeah, and the new template. The new template.
Yeah, they used
has
to
really improved the ref racking.
They
right?
used to rack with AccuStats rack, the outfield racks. Which I mean, there's a lot of arguings about Magic Rack as being better than AccuRacks or AccuRacks being better than Magic Racks. In my opinion, the Magic Rack is the best, and it's very easy to rack the ball, so you don't have to lift anything. You
You
don't
don't
need,
have to load them.
like in order to be able to rack the balls with the outfield rack, you need to know how to do it. Like you need to rack at least 500 racks in order to figure out
Right.
how to do it.
And you've got a bunch of random people showing up to be the rackers.
Well, and sometimes you have the refs that are there for the first time, and of course you have John Lehman teaching them the day prior to the event what they should do. But it's impossible to understand what is a good rack and what is a bad rack if you didn't do it for a good amount of time before that.
So we're both taking Yokioi, right? Out of
We're
that
taking
flight?
Naoki Oyo out of that flight, yes.
All right, the next one, Pia Filler, fan favorite there. And
Jonas Souto.
there.
the
Look at it.
Spaniard.
This is another interesting first round matchup. Duong versus Joey Tate.
Duong Kwong against Joey Tate. Joey Tate didn't have a good experience last year shooting that 5 ball against SVB.
Yeah, he had SVB beat, right?
He was up 8-7 when he made that mistake, I believe.
Yeah, that was on the second TV table right before you were playing Tyler, I believe.
Yeah, maybe the day before, but that was on the same table, yes.
Yeah.
So who are we taking here? Jonas Soto should be the favorite. I mean, all the Canadian players, we may not know them. They may be good. I know the Hewitt, Canadian player. I believe maybe Dan Hewitt. I may butcher his name, but he's a good player. And then Eric Hjorleifson, he's a good player too.
Yeah.
I mean, Johnny Moore and Alex, of course.
I mean, I'm taking the Vietnamese out of this flight.
I'm not sure. Liu Ritang is a good player from Taiwan.
He's the little short one, right?
He's
shorter.
not big. I mean,
Yeah.
none of them are, other than
Yeah,
changing
but he's
length.
like really petite. I think I remember him. Tang.
Yeah, but you got to favor Duong Kwok in that flight. Jonas Soto is another good player that's capable of playing really good.
And he's fun to watch, too.
He's fun to
Jonas,
watch.
yeah.
Also, a former World Junior champion. Pia. I mean, it's going to be an interesting match between if Pia wins the first round match and Jonas. It's going to be an interesting match because it's always tough to play against girls. I mean, you
Yeah.
look at Tyler. Tyler played Pia in where was it? Spain or Germany, and he almost ended up losing. So,
Yeah. And she can play. She's gotten a ton better.
oh yeah, she's progressing.
All right, so I'm taking the Vietnamese out of there. Who you got?
I've
Jonas or Tang?
got Duong Quoc Quang too.
All right.
Alrighty, who do we have here?
Oh, this is nice. Hunter Lombardo and Jeremy Sosi could be playing in the second round.
New York Derby.
Yeah. And then Shaw's down there playing Rob Hart,
Rob Hart.
brother of the comedian Kevin Hart,
Yes.
and has the same coach that you had for years.
Yes, Rob Hart. He's been practicing with Johan Racing before. I'm not sure right now, but he used to. He likes to practice a lot. He's very methodical and spends a lot of time hitting balls on his table.
I think he won a few matches at the U.S. Open last year, right? Or maybe one.
Ooh, I'm not sure. But I've seen Rob. He used to travel a lot, actually. All the world championships that were in Qatar, he was always there. Same as Hunter, actually. I've seen Hunter there a lot. So Rob traveled a lot playing pool. Has an experience. So
Oh, this is a tough flight here. I mean,
next one.
Well, no, I'm sorry. This is easy. This is Shaw all day, right?
I mean, Shaw should be a big favorite in that
Yeah,
flight.
he's got to
But
walk there.
I mean, Hunter and Jeremy Sosi. Jeremy Sosi is underrated player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean he's a good player, but he ain't beating Shaw.
No, but I'm saying there is a small little chance.
Yeah, there is. And the next one's got Filler.
Filler is here playing against
Oh, look at that. Lucas Werner and Scott Frost first round. That's an interesting
Lucas
one.
and Scott. That's
actually-
probably a pick.
That's a tough match. I'm going with the Freezer. He's been practicing. He's been posting pictures of his Predator light. I think I'm going with the Freezer in that match. But Lucas Werner, he's a gambler. He can handle the heat. I like that kid.
Yeah, I mean Lucas improved the most out of all of the Americans the last year,
Yeah,
for sure.
And a lot of it has to do with the gambling aspect of it. He's always in the grease, always in the action.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. And he's a good kid. I actually talked to him a little bit at
Yeah, I
that
like
event
him.
in New York. Yeah,
Plays decent one pocket too.
he plays every game good. He plays every game good.
I mean, the killer Filler's walking out of this one.
I mean, we're not even mentioning anybody else.
I mean, you can. It's Filler. He never misses a ball. Who's
yeah,
he going to lose to?
I agree there.
I mean, sheesh. Just move him on to the final 64 and let's see who he gets.
Yeah, let's move on to the next flight. Okay, Shane Wolford. Then we have the coach of Aloysius, Tolian Han, the older Singaporean player.
Oh, and then
Jesse Engel and Moritz Neuhausen.
I'm taking Moritz out of here. I think he's hot.
Yep, he's hot. He's breaking really good. He figured out the break, and he's progressing. And I mean, he's on a roll. He played in the finals of both Rex events, the 10 ball and 9 ball. Lost both. Should have won both, but I mean, eventually you'll get there. He's always deep.
This is what I always said to you when you're at that age and you're playing good, your confidence is high, but you just haven't quite figured out how to win.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you figure out how to win, it comes in bunches. It's the same thing that happened to you. You kept getting there, you kept getting there, you kept getting there. You were shitting all over yourself, dogging it. And then boom, it clicked, right? And
I
then you
wasn't
won the
shitting all over myself.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were. I watched it. But yeah, I mean, then you won the world 9 ball.
Yeah, I
And-
mean, there was a couple of unfortunate situations too. Like I won the world 9 ball, and then I started winning tournaments, like you said, and then the pandemic started,
Right.
and then I started winning again, and then the ban started. And I mean, I'm looking for that tournament to happen.
Well, I mean, I
Last
feel
year
like-
was
yeah.
pretty good because I won a lot of tournaments, which is debatable, of course, because I didn't play in all the majors, but I still did Good.
Yeah,
So who are we taking here? Moritz,
I'm taking Moritz.
and who's he going to be playing in the winter qualification round?
I think
Shane
Wolford.
Wolford.
I'm rooting for Wolford there.
Yeah,
Um,
Wolford, big turn for him in terms of Moscone ranking too. So I won't be surprised if he beats Moritz, but I'm gonna go with
I wouldn't hate that.
no.
I'm always rooting for Wolford to do well. So
Wolford is a
take
really
it.
good guy too. Yeah.
this next one's another interesting one here.
Mark Beisterborsch. Mark finished second in Spanish Open, losing to Dang Junhu.
And all action is Bister Bosch.
Oh yeah, he was
will
one
fire.
stroke in everything, going for
Gunslinger.
everything. It's actually funny because he should have lost. I mean, at least one match that I've played. I played Dennis Grape, and the next table was him against Oliver, and Oliver was up big, I think, and Mark is already one stroke in everything. You know, he's out of shape. He's slamming everything, banking when he should play safe, and everything's going in. And you know, when he misses, uh, Oliver is more of a slower player and more of a methodical. So I think it got in his head the way Mark was playing, and Oliver was started missing balls, and I think Mark won heel with in the match that he should have lost 9-2 or something, and then he suddenly won another heel, and every match was like that, and he ended up being in the final that he could have won too. So
Yeah, he's a great player and all action, fun to watch.
yep.
And then you got another great player, all action, fun to watch, and Anton Raga.
Anton Raga, and then we have to mention Cheng Yulong and Fitim. Fitim is the player from Germany that beat Ruiz in UK Open this year.
A lot of Germans coming up, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Europeans that can beat
Anybody
in a race to 9. Yes.
I'm going for all action final here with Bister Bosch and Raga, and I'm taking Raga.
Yes, you got to take Raga. He's very hot right now.
All right.
We have, in the next flight, we have Dimitris Lukatos, player from Greece. Khalid Alkamdi, player from Saudi Arabia that looks just like me. He'll just looks just like me.
Really?
Yeah.
Saudi Arabian that looks Russian?
Yeah, same.
You actually don't look Russian.
I don't look
right?
Russian. I look like Georgian mix
Georgian.
with, I don't know, like an international type of guy.
You look Georgian, not Russian.
Right.
All right.
So Khalid won the Junior U.S. Open last year, and now he's playing in the Open division. He's playing Christoph Neumeyer. I believe he's a German player.
And don't worry, guys. We're going to do a Q&A when we get through this first flight of the first rounds.
And then we have Nicholas Malai and Alexander Kazakis. So we have 3 Greeks in the same flight, which is insane.
Somebody doesn't like Greeks.
Yeah, it is. It is insane.
I mean, I think it's crazy to see Kazakis playing Malai, and then I didn't even realize we have another Greek up there. And Nick Malai is another one of those exciting players, very similar to like a Bisterbosch style.
Yeah, he's quick. He's quick, all fire. Have a high gear. Used to play a lot of pool before. Won the Kremlin Cup. Won the few Euro tours before. I mean, if he hits a gear, he may beat Kazakis, but I mean, I probably have to go with Alex there. And he will most likely be playing. I mean, I don't know. Dimitris Lukatos and Khalid. That's an interesting second round match. That's a pick, but I still have to pick Kazakis to win the flight.
Yeah, I think he's a favorite, but I'm going with Khalid just because he looks like you. I'm going for the Saudi Arabian that looks like a Russian Georgian to come out of this in Kazakis.
Oh,
all right.
Next flight. Max Lechner, Nguyen Kong Tan, Jan van Lierop,
That guy's underrated. Jan
Babika.
van Lierop. He's one of those guys you look at him and you gotta root against him, but he just runs out.
Well, that's another junior European that we used to always play against each other in juniors.
Jan van Lierop.
Jan. It's Jan, not John. Jan.
All right, I'm learning. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah, I mean, every language you have to pronounce it different. Like, In the Spanish, you have J-O. It's Jose,
I'm just gonna
not
Americanize
Jose.
all these names. But that dude is goofy to look at. He's very tough to read. You know, you just look at certain people and you can tell they would play like a good part in a movie of somebody that you just dislike. That's the way that guy looks. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but that's what he looks.
Well, you
It's
can make a lot of money with him.
Yeah, he's tough to look at and like and root for. But every time I've watched him play, the guy plays perfect pool. If you took him around the country, you'd make a lot of money.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can make a lot of money with him, and he is capable of playing good pool. Radoslav Babica, he's an old school player. He's been traveling, playing pool for over 15 years at least, and he has all the experience. We actually had a really close match last event in Germany. I ended up winning 9-7 over Hill. So, but again, we have Max Lechner on top of the bracket here, which
You're going with Mad Max?
probably, I mean, he's breaking so good, and he finished second in that U.S. Open last year.
Yeah, I'm going with Max versus Lyrup and taking Max to win.
Yes, same here.
Here we go. Mr. Oscar Dominguez.
Oscar Dominguez, my roommate in Vietnam.
Give me a chimichanga, Oscar, would you?
And then we have another good player, Bob Can.
Bob Ken.
We have King Lee from New York and Alexa Petzeli.
Another young player. I like that Alexa's game.
Alexa is a underrated player. Most Americans, they don't know who he is, but
I like his game a lot.
he's another junior that used to play with us all the time, the same circuit, and he's got a lot better.
Yeah.
He had some deep finishes in matchroom tournaments. He finished 5th or 3rd last year in some either Spanish or European Open.
It's a pretty weak flight.
I mean,
players.
not really. King Lee is a decent player. Bob Can is underrated. You don't even know who he is.
I don't know who he is. That's why I'm saying it's weak. But he can play. I'm sure.
And Oscar is saying that he's not playing, but he is. So
yeah, but if you got a name like Bobkin, you better be able to play.
he is.
That's a heck of a name.
He's playing. He's playing decent.
I'm taking Alexa versus Oscar.
Yeah, same here.
Oscar, if you lose to Bobkin, you better fully retire. I know you keep saying you're retired, and the next thing I know, I see you on a flyer saying you're playing for 100,000. Either retire or don't retire. You're reminding me of Scott Frost.
Okay, so that's the Canadian player that I know. Danny Hewitt. Finally, some Canadians that I know.
There you go.
And then Abdullah Al Youssef, he finished 2nd or 3rd in the Whirlpool Masters, right?
Yeah.
He had a good run.
Yeah, he had a really good run.
This year or last year, I remember watching it. And then Miguel Silva and Jose Alberto Delgado. So who am I taking off from this flight? You gotta favor Delgado to be in the winner qualify from the lower side, and then the upper side is probably Abdullah. I probably favor him against Danny Hewitt, and Abdullah and Delgado will be a pick, and I probably pick Delgado to win.
Yeah, I'm going with Abdullah. Abdullah versus Delgado and Abdullah to win. This next one, wow! You look at the previous flights, and now look at this second round matchup here with Levan Corteza and Roberto the Superman Gomez.
Yes,
for a round two match.
Roberto is an unranked player. That's why you see those flights with like 3-4 players, like top players in the same flight. It's the only possible way to happen is you have 2 ranked players and two players that didn't play as many tournaments and they're unranked. So we have Levan playing Roberto 2nd round, and then in the lower bracket we have Mario, who is the favorite against other 3 players. So I'll probably go with
Man, what a tough flight! What a tough flight this is.
Roberto and Levan, it has to be the pick. I mean, it's 50-50. Either one of them can win.
That's definitely a pick. And then Mario's a favorite in the bottom, you would think.
I think Mario is a favorite against both of them with that breaking format. But
The Panda.
I won't be surprised if Lee Van or Roberto qualifies from that fight.
Well, you never know. Mario might not sleep much. There's poker tables around. He's a poker shark, right? He likes to play poker. And
he's good at everything.
He's a good poker player. I like the Panda. I'm going with the Panda here just simply because I think Lee Van and Roberto are beating up on each other. You can't really pick who's going to win there. And I really like Mario to get out of the bottom. So from my perspective, betting-wise, I think I think the best player in the group is not Mario. But I think you have to pick him to get out of the flight because he's most likely to get to the finals of this flight. So that's why I would choose Mario.
Yeah, I agree.
And one of the most talented players in the world in the next flight, young Victor Zielinski, another Polak.
Victor Zielinski. Who else do we have here? Tim de Ruyter and Kim Luxonen. Kim Luxonen and Tim de Ruyter is actually a tough matchup for the first round. Both Europeans, both probably similar level, different style.
I just got to say something. Tim de Ruyter would whoop your ass.
He would.
Maybe not in the pool, but in fighting, he would whoop your ass.
Bet. All right, so we have...
He's a good commentator. I like Tim de Ruyter's commentary.
Yeah, he probably will be commentating the tournament that I go to tomorrow.
Well, I mean, he'll probably go 2-0 in this one. He might be commentating at the U.S. Open too.
You have him underrated.
I know I do. I'm just messing with you, Tim. I love you.
Loho Som, a good player.
Really good player
from Hong Kong. So who are we taking from the lower side? Loho Som or probably Loho Som and Zielinski playing for the spot in the last 64, and we're taking Zielinski, right?
I'm taking Victor all day, every day. Victor's one of those guys, man. He's gonna bust through at some point.
Oh, for sure. He already did, and he already won a few big tournaments.
But he's really been knocking on the door of a big major. How many tournaments did he get top 5 in last year?
Many.
I mean, I just kept waiting for him to win one, and just bad stuff kept happening to him on the break, and he's another one of those guys. You might follow Victor Zielinski around and not see him miss a ball for a week, legitimately. All right, let's see here. All right.
So the next flight,
let's get to the next one here. Labutis.
Pius Labutis.
And Atencio.
Jesus Atencio.
Tough second round match there.
Kevin West and Alvin. Alvin is a player from Indonesia, and him and Kevin West is a tough matchup for the first round. I'm probably taking Alvin there. And we have Chen Junlin in this flight too, so that's a tough flight.
Mr. Chinese 8-ball back in action.
Just won a big Chinese 8-ball tournament recently, yes. So who are we taking here? Pius and Atencio. That's a complete pick in the second round.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with Labutis.
Yeah.
Playing against Chen Junlin for the spot in the last 64, and you got to take Chang because of the experience and everything.
Chang all day, every day there for me.
Oh, that's a tough matchup. There you go. John Mora, Joni, my boy.
Johnny.
Playing against Do De Kien. That's one of the top Vietnamese players. You have Alex Montpellier here.
How many times are you going to pick on Mr. John Mora?
My whole life.
You just keep running around, Mr. Smooth.
We're here to stir up action, you said.
What did you give him last time? 11-8?
So we played in Buffalo's. The first time I gave him, what was it, 10-8? 6 ahead the first day. I beat him.
6-0, right?
Yeah, 6-0 actually, yes.
Yeah, you made 6-0. You gave him 10-8 and
and
won all 6
then
games.
he said, I need another ball. So we played an 11-8, 6 ahead, and it took a lot longer. And I ended up winning that. So now we were thinking maybe what is the adjustment, 9-7. I offered him 9-7 in the tournament in New York, and he was like, nah, I need 10-7. I'm like, yeah, right, 10-7.
Just he needs something he can win with.
But I think 9-7 is the game now.
Yeah, Mr. Smooth.
Playing against Do De Kien, that's a tough match for Joni. And then we have Matt Vergara, Filipino that ran the tournament in Rex. Yanni Uski and Matt Craw. Matt Craw is the player from Delaware area.
Yeah.
There, I'm not sure Delaware, Connecticut, that
New
area.
York area. Yeah.
So I'm taking Yanni Uski to win the lower side of that because Yanni is always in the last 16 of every Metro event. Like,
Yeah,
and
he's a good player.
nobody's even noticing him.
I'm picking Yanni out of this.
Yanni is always going deep in Metro events.
He's a
He
great
beat
player.
Wu Cha-Ching, and I mean he's beating everybody.
Is Wu coming this year? I don't think he is he?
I'm not sure. Wu played in Spanish Open, but didn't go to the one in Germany. Let me plug the power cable to that mic.
All right. Let's see here. So you got Johnny Mora and Yanni Uski. I'm going with Uski there. And stick with us, guys. We're going to do a Q&A for Fedor. As soon as we get, we're almost to the bottom of the brackets here.
Hold tight, guys. There you go.
All right, we're back in action here. So we're gonna slide down. So did you take Johnny Mora there, or did you take Yanni Uski?
To go from that flight, I'm taking Yanni Uski.
Yanni Uski. All right, let's go check out the next one. This is another interesting one.
Sia Chia-Chan, Martinez, Gerson, Jeremy Seaman, David Alqueda, and he's playing against Kenichi Uchigaki, which I'm not familiar with.
That is a really cool name, Kenichi.
That's actually a
Uchigaki.
tough flight here. I mean,
Yeah.
Sia Chia-Chan is a known Taiwanese, and then he's going to be playing most likely against Gerson in the second round. Gerson been playing a lot of pool in the
And
U.S.
Gerson can play.
Gerson can play for sure.
And Jeremy Seaman's one of those guys. If he hits a gear, I mean, he can beat you in a race to 9 too.
Yeah, I mean Jeremy, Gerson, they're close with each other, I'd say. And David is fighting with me for the spot. He'll be trying his ass off in this tournament. So it's
Come on, Japanese, Kenichi Uchigaka.
it's a tough
That sounds
tough.
like a drink or like
That's
a
actually
sushi roll or
as
something.
tough of a flight as it can be for David here. I mean, he just won the tournament. He moved up in the ranking by a big margin, and that's the flight that he gets.
I'm going with Chia Chin.
I'm going with Al-Qaeda in this flight.
You're just hedging, that's all. You're just hedging. We know how you are. Oh, here's your hero, Niels.
Niels, my boy, yes. Playing against Tyrell Blowers. I'm sure you're familiar with him.
Blowers?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. And
Oh,
then
that was the Russian joke right there. The blowers. Good.
okay,
That was pretty good though.
Darren Appleton. Here you go. Darren and Niels in the same flight.
How is Darren close back to like normal form? Or?
He was playing decent in the tournament. That's actually his first event that he just played after the comeback in New York, and he played good. I think he played good. I mean, probably not close to
where he was.
where he was 5-10 years ago, but that's for the first event he was playing good enough.
Who and do you know anything about Daniel Gutenberger?
Yeah, I know him. We played juniors. He's a little bit older than me.
Not a big fan.
I mean, he's capable of giving a good fight to Darren, and I won't be surprised if he beats Darren in the second round. But I'd probably go with Niels qualifying from that flight, beating Darren for the spot.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Got to go with Niels.
Next flight is Chris Melling playing against the guy that looks like filler, Christian Dimitrov. And then we have Tommy Tokov and Oliver and Joven. That's the best match of round one.
That's a tough
Right.
round one match with Joven Bustamante versus Oliver. And Oliver's a slow, methodical player that I think he's underrated. I think he.
Oh, he is for sure.
Yeah, I think he's an
He
underrated
is.
player.
For sure. You look that's the same thing that you said about Van Leer. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Oliver,
He's
you want to
tough.
bet against him, and you're
Yeah.
just gonna lose.
Yeah, you're right. You want to bet against him. You look at him, you're like, there's no chance this dude can play good. And it's the way he gets over the ball, the phases that he makes. And
And he runs out. I mean, he
Yeah.
finished third in the World Nine Ball. He beat Shane multiple times. He was beating. I mean, he beat all the good players already.
How's Chris Melling breaking in this format?
Good. I mean, good enough. I mean, if he would have broke better, he would be very tough to beat. But
Yeah.
probably the break is his weakest part in the game.
Still with a weak break. I'm still going with Melling here. Melling versus Oliver.
Melling, I'm going with Oliver. I mean, I'm going with Oliver to go from his flight. I mean, it's going to be tough.
Man, I tell you what, I get excited going through all this because there's just so many young players that are just straight sharpshooters.
Oh yeah,
And this Daniel Masio in the next flight is another one, just an unbelievable talent.
I think Daniel has the best break in that tournament so far.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I watched all the players the way they break, and Daniel is impressive. He's making both balls, and the cube was always traveling with no traffic around it. Daniel is another player that I played against in juniors a lot, and he's a dangerous player.
This is another flight here that's tough to predict.
Yeah, we have Jeff DeLuna right below him. That will be a tough match in the second round for Daniel, and we don't know that Nguyen Tang from Vietnam, so I mean, you gotta like Daniel in the first round match, and
then you got
DeLuna and him would be a good match.
Yeah.
And I like Daniel because of the break, but if he doesn't break as good as he usually is, then I'll take DeLuna.
I mean, I just like Daniel because DeLuna's a jack. And then on the bottom, you got Yap. I mean, DeLuna's a great player, but he's overrated. Let's be honest. People just like the way he jumps up, and I mean, he's got a powerful stroke, but he's as overrated as they come. Jeff DeLuna is the most overrated player on the planet, and I'll go on the record saying it. And he's a jack. I'm going with Yap here versus Masio.
Yapper and Maciel for the winner qualification. I agree with that. And who are we picking in that match?
I'm going with Yap.
I'm going with Maciel.
Yap's one of my favorite. And we're at the very bottom flight here, so you better get revved up for Q&A if you're out there with us.
So we have Marco Turcher from Netherlands, but he's living in New Zealand, as far as I know, playing against Sergio Rivas.
Sergio Rivas.
Yes, we have Elliot Sanderson, SVB in the very bottom. You gotta... I mean, it's tough. Elliot Sanderson and Marco. I probably like Marco against Elliot in the second round matchup, and I think Marco beats Sergio.
Yeah.
So SVB versus Marco for the spot in the last 64.
Was it last year or the year before that you beat Marco at the U.S. Open? He had a nice run. I think it was 2 years ago in the final 16. You beat Marco
2 or 3 years ago.
I think it was 2. It was in Atlantic City for sure.
Yeah, it was in Atlantic City.
It may have been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the same year that you lost to Oy. But Marco Tucci, I mean, he could come out of this fight. Obviously,
he's a good player.
Favorite. I think it's going to be
Marco's a good
Marco
player.
versus SVB here. All right, so we're done with the first rounds. Outside, you cannot pick yourself. You got to go on the record right now and tell everybody who you think is going to win the tournament.
Other than me?
Other than you. If you say Arcady, I'm going to punch you.
That's what I was thinking.
I'm going to punch you right there,
I mean, I'll go with SVB.
SVB, fellow Q-Tech teammate. I'm going to go with a really weird one.
I mean, we have to pick a dark horse, too.
All right, so who's your dark horse?
Like, dark horse, my dark horse would be Chang Junlin, if you can call it a dark horse.
Yeah, I don't know if that's much of a dark horse there. You'd pick 2 favorites.
I mean, he's not a favorite.
Yeah,
he
didn't
didn't
play an 8-ball.
He'll
let you go with it. All right, so I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm picking Victor Zelensky. I also cannot pick you. If I could, I would pick you. But if not, I'm going to take Victor Zelensky. I like his draw. And if I had to pick a dark horse for me...
Like, let's call a dark horse is under an 800 Fargo.
So, like, second-tier player.
Yeah. I'm going with Alexa.
Alexa. Yeah.
Or, I mean, Alexa or Daniel Maciel would be my pick.
I'm like in between. Do I pick Victor or Anton Raga? I feel like one of them is going to break through very soon.
Oh yeah. Anton lost 2 finals too, so
Yeah, and I feel like they're just knocking on the door.
yeah.
So, but for me, I'm a big fan of Victor's game, so I'm going to pick Victor as who I think is going to win. And then for my dark horse, it's going to be Naoki Oi.
Naoki Oi, he's a dark horse.
You don't think he is? I'll go a little darker if you want me to
Yeah,
go a little darker.
go a little darker. It's over 800, I think.
He's over 800. All right. Sullivan Clark.
That's way below 800, I think.
He's
but
not going to win it, but
he,
I'm rooting for him.
Yep. All right.
All right, so let's do some Q&A here. Let's pull this computer a little closer. All right, so fire away. I know all of you all in the chat have been asking for some Q&A, so we'll give you about 10, 15 minutes here of Q&A. Fire away. Is James Arenas not playing? I didn't see Dodong.
No, I haven't seen him either.
So no
He was
Dodong,
playing.
no Dennis,
No Chua.
no Chua.
I didn't see Chua
I
either.
didn't see Chua. Man.
They were playing all year. I mean, they won the World Cup.
Hmm.
They played in Spain. They played in the UK.
Let's see. What big cities have you been to?
I mean, I've been to New York. Depends what big is. I mean, I've been to Chicago, Louisville, if you consider Louisville a big city.
Mm-mm.
No?
Somebody said they want to see you play filler one pocket on a 10-footer. Me too. I want to see him play one pocket on any footer. Fedor for Team USA. We've been talking about that.
Yeah. I mean, long story short, I actually got approved for a green card today. Today. Yes, I should have the actual card soon. So that's like the beginning of the process of getting a passport. And long story short, I can only play for the American team legally, like in official tournaments. Not Moscone Cup, but like WPA tournaments and all the world championships under the American flag, only if I have a passport. And once I get a green card, the actual card, then I'll have to spend at least 2 or 3 years. I'm not familiar with rules yet, but after that I can apply for a passport.
Yeah, but let's be honest. The rules are whatever Emily and Matchroom want to make them for their event.
Well, that's
So-
what I'm saying for the official events.
Yeah.
Matchroom is more of a show exhibition type of thing.
They can do
And
whatever
now
the
it's
hell
not
they want to do.
now it's not regulated by WPA, I think. So they do whatever they want to. Like
I mean, I think if the Moscone Cup is going down, I know they're bringing in the Asian team after.
well, that's
Team
what
Europe
that's
wins.
what the some posts were saying. I think Emily, she said that Team Asia will be playing the winner of this Moscone Cup. So
Yeah.
whoever wins plays Team Asia.
I mean, I think if we got you on Team USA,
I mean, I can actually play for any team because there's some Americans saying that I'm Asian. I should be playing for Team Asia because I'm Russian, because Russia is
well, you don't have a flag right now.
partly Asia.
I mean, so you just want to. You're an equal opportunist. Whoever wants Fedor on their team,
I'm
in the
ready.
Moscone Cup format. He'll play with Asians. He'll play with Europeans. He'll play with the Americans. But I know, like many of you in the chat, I'm rooting for him to get put on Team USA. I would love to see Skyler, SVB, Fedor, and I think if they put you on the team, Fedor, I think we could get Bergman out of the house. We get Bergman back.
I doubt it.
Oh, come on. Show a little optimism here. So let's just say we get SVB and Skyler. Obviously, they got to be there. We get Bergman off the couch, and then you're on the team. Who's the fifth?
Well, honestly, it's going to be a good team. I mean, it's going to be
Yeah.
competitive. It's going to be competitive. Me, SVB, Scholar. Who did you say, Shane?
Bergman.
Oh, Bergman.
You break for Bergman.
If I break for Bergman, yeah.
But yeah, you might be the favorite.
Who's the fifth?
Yeah, who's the fifth? Is it Oscar? Is it Wolford? Is it Chris
Wolford.
Reinhold? Is it?
They're all in the run. I mean,
I'll tell
Billy
you know who I want to see on the Moscone Cup for Team USA?
Hennessy.
Oh, hell no. Oh, my God. Can you imagine Hennessy being on Team USA? I mean,
That'd be fun.
oh, my gosh. He chalks about 800 times. No, if it was me, who I really want to see, just as a viewer, obviously I want to see Earl as a viewer just to see if he does something crazy. I want to see Tony Chohan.
Tony.
I think he hold up under the pressure better than anybody we got. Yeah, he's going to be a notch below, but I would like to see Tony get an opportunity. That's
Yeah.
just me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's very knowledgeable. He knows how to move, and I mean, he's good enough to get out.
He's
but
a shot maker.
the break is something that is really weak in him, I think,
Yeah, but
comparing to the other. I mean, it's not something that he would practice. I don't see Tony's practicing his break for hours. Like, I
Yeah.
would see him throwing balls and banking them,
that's
playing
true.
100 a rack with one pocket. I see that, but I don't see him going and practice.
He says, have you considered playing Four Bears Classic in North Dakota?
In April. Well, it's too far away from today. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in January, but I'll be following. I'm sure the schedule will be super busy. Like, the next few months are packed, and January I already know that there will be a tournament before Derby, which will be in Rail Yard, mini derb, just like last year. It will be 10 ball, 9 ball banks, one pocket. So perfect warm up before Derby, and then Derby. So that's 2 weeks already out of the month in Louisville. And then I'm not sure if the World Championships will be in Poland again or a different location. Last year they had this year I mean, World Championships was held in Poland right after Derby, and I wasn't allowed to play because it was in Poland and they banned all the Russian athletes. If it's going to happen again, then I may stay in U.S. and play something else. If they change it, then I go there. I mean, I'm going to go to all the big major events.
Yeah, I mean, you got to chase them, right? You're young, and you're not going to be able to travel the way that you are right now forever. So
Right.
try
Now
to
it's
go
time
win
to
some
do
titles.
it. Now it's time to do it, and I mean, I like all the major events. They're big, and the atmosphere is different.
So we have any more questions out there in the chat? Yeah, and you guys are right. Tyler Steyer's probably the fifth pick there.
Oh yeah. I forgot about Tyler. I forgot about
Mhm.
Tyler is definitely the fifth pick.
I mean, Tyler's going to be a fixture on the Moscone Cup team for the next 15 years if he keeps working the way he is.
He will keep working the way he is right now. So
Oh, I saw one. I saw a question up in the chat for you, Fedor. Answer this one. If it wasn't for you playing pool, what would you do in life? What would be your profession?
I have no clue, and I mean that's probably why I play so good.
Oh, come on. I mean, all right. So, what would you like to do?
What would I like to do? I mean, I know what I like to do when I quit playing pool, but
What's that other than sipping Mai Tais on the beach?
no, probably start some business. I don't know, like own a restaurant or something like that. Hookah bar,
Hookah bar.
shisha bar.
You're going to be a cook, huh? Own
I'll be a
restaurant.
businessman.
Businessman. There you go. Well, I mean, it's nothing different in business than selling cue balls or starting a podcast. You kind of are a businessman now.
Yeah, kind of, but in a little different way.
Yeah, and if you're out there tuning in right now, you got to check out fedorgorst.com.
Yes,
can get-
guys, go to my website. I just updated it. I'm trying to update my Shopify store too, which is in the works, and I'm going to try to add all the products on the YouTube stream. So go to my website. There's a lot of items you can purchase already.
Yeah, so I'd mentioned, and you see Aaron Dienard's comment there. I'd mentioned, I think it was the last match that, you don't practice as much as you did when you were 18. He says, do you have any plans to change that?
Well, the way I practice and how much I practice depends on my schedule, the way my back feels, my back is feeling terrible right now. Like, actually, let's talk about the tournament in New York. Day 2, I sent a message to you and Alan that I want to withdraw going to the match with Sullivan Clark because I was in so much pain that I didn't want to play. And it turned around and I went to the physiotherapist. They fixed it, and I ended up winning 5 more matches. So I'm happy with the way I played that tournament. I felt really, really bad. And there was a lot of tournaments where I felt really bad thinking that I'm going to quit, and I didn't. So, but how much I practice, like right now I don't practice as much because the schedule is so busy. I just practice my break mostly, and before the first and second event I may do something for fundamentals just to build up the stroke to where it should be, and then it's just containing, keeping the same thing and working on the break.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're young. It's tough to have back pain this young, but you've put so many hours in on the table. You spent so many hours bending over, and you actually spend quite a bit of time working out trying to kind of balance that out, right? Because you bend over a certain way. So you've seen different doctors that say, hey, you need to work on your left side, strengthening it up because your right side's more, is stronger because of the way that you bend or the way that you move. So you actually been doing a lot of that.
Well, that's what
training,
happened
right?
actually. Last week I've been working out, doing the Donny Mills bicep curls, and on like the last set, the very last tries, I'm like trying to how do you call it? Go over the limit or something like
Trying to
that.
push yourself.
Yeah, push, and then I just feel that something like click right here nearby my shoulder blade, and that's the spot where I usually have pain. So I'm like, oh God, I pulled the muscle or something. So I started stretching it. But I mean, I was doing all the right things before that. I was doing the sauna. I was going to the physiotherapist. We did the dry needling. I did the acupuncture cupping.
Somebody's asking, did you do yoga? Maybe that's what you can do on the
I
next
mean,
podcast.
the
You can just set up the camera and do a little yoga for your fans.
The way I stretch is kind of like yoga. I mean, I didn't do yoga, and I should try it, but I stretch plenty of minutes or hours for my back to be okay. Because what I've had in the beginning, I've had problems with my lower back, and I started stretching like 3 years ago, stretching a lot, and it became a lot better. But I wasn't as strong. I mean, I'm not strong. I'm not a strong person, so I needed to start working out. And the way I've been standing, I kind of needed to start working out in a proper way to where my left side of the back is has the same strength as my right side. So I was going to different doctors, different physiotherapists, different gym trainers, coaches, and I mean, all of them were saying kind of different things. So I wasn't sure what's right and what's not. So I was just trying different things, and lately it was working, but I mean, for the last 2 years it was working, but lately I've been struggling with my back.
All right, here's another one. Fedor, how do you mentally deal with tournaments having the tables set up too close to each other and other players walking around disrupting your rhythm?
I mean, I've played so much pool, it doesn't bother me. You go to Philippines, you play in Sharks, and after every game you have to wait for 2-3 minutes. What's that going to do for your rhythm? I mean, having tables too close to each other, it's not great because sometimes you want to see the line of the shot, and I want to take like a step back, or sometimes it's not enough room for me to like properly stand. But I mean, it is what it is.
Somebody said you need to get some celery juice. Quit playing.
Celery juice? What?
Yeah.
What is it?
Celery juice. It's a
What's that?
vegetable.
Have you tried celery juice? I mean, it's the problems that I have. There, none of the juices won't help, guys. It's not something like I can go to a physiotherapy one day, and it's a big problem. I need to do an MRI.
You got an MRI coming up soon, right?
Yes, I went to another doctor today. Actually, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us in our first episode. Many more to come. We'll probably doing some more previews after the first round of the U.S. Open, and then obviously we'll do a post U.S. Open recap, and then we'll be talking before the Asian Open for sure, and keeping you guys up to date on the Moscone Cup rankings and Federer's travel schedule and all of the news and all the hot topics in pool. So really appreciated the first episode. Thank you all so much. Please make sure that you smash that subscribe button if you've yet to do so, and share this with your friends. So thank you so much, and everybody have a great night.
Yes, thanks a lot, guys, and sorry for our little, how do you say that?
Technical
difficulties. Yes, we can call it like that. And we promise to fix that for the next time. And I guess that's it. Have a great night, guys.